Good day, Dr. Azam. My name is Ziling. So today, me and my teammates Phoebe and Ziyao is going to discuss about the Malaysia detains container ship for illegal anchoring. So on 16 May, a Liberia registered container ship was found anchoring about 22.5 nautical miles southwest of Sekinjang without permissions. So the vessel was detected by a Swasla clan. Although all the crew's members have valid identifications, the ship failed to present the proper anchoring authorizations, which leads to its detentions. So the captains and the second engineer were taken in for investigations and could face fines, imprisonment, or both. So moving on to the safety management of ship operations, it involved the compliance with international and national maritime regulations and proper documentations. In this case, it related to failure in regulatory compliance, poor documentations and communications, and also the inadequate implementation of ISM codes mandated by the SYS. So, anchoring without permissions in Malaysia waters violates the Merchant Shipping Ordinance 1952. So under the sections 2490, the shipmaster must report to the Maritime Transport Security Officer and provide the pre-arrival notifications before entering any designated marine facilities. Secondly, the poor communications and documentations made the captain fail to notify the Director of Marines and provide anchoring permits, so making the vessel appear suspicious and violating the local regulations. So this has increased the risk of confrontations and misidentifications. Lastly, the ship fails to implement the ISM codes as required by SOLAS Chapter 9, which mandates the compliance with international and local law, including anchoring regulations. So the company must ensure a valid documentations are available and the captain is properly trained to follow all safety and legal procedures. So that's all from me. I will pass it to the next presenter. Thank you.
Good day, Dr. Azam. My name is Ng Siao and I'll be presenting the risks of illegal anchoring. First, let's talk about environmental risks of illegal anchoring. From this image, we can know that illegal anchoring can cause air pollution, water pollution, and seabed scoring. Air pollution occurs due to operational emissions. When ships idle in unregulated areas, they continue to burn fuels, releasing harmful gases like sulfur oxides, nitrogen oxides, and also carbon dioxide, which contribute to acid rain and global warming. Whereas water pollution is from the operational discharge. Meanwhile, seabed scoring can bring impacts to the benthic environments. When ships drop anchor in unauthorized or sensitive seabed areas, the heavy anchors and chains can physically damage the seafloor by crushing the coral reef, causing rock fracture, removing the corals, and also uproot the seagrass beds. Moving on is the financial risk of illegal anchoring. Illegal anchoring can incur many kinds of costs, such as a large amount of money to release the detained vessels under the Section 413 of the Criminal Procedure Code. There will also be legal fees and fines of not more than 100,000 ringgit Malaysian. Lastly is the human life of illegal anchoring. During illegal anchoring, anchor dragging might happen when the anchor fails to hold the vessel in place due to strong currents or high winds. When the anchor drags, the vessel might drift uncontrollably and grounding might happen. Not only that, but collisions with another anchored vessel might also happen. Such incidents not only damage the ship but also put life at risk, especially if the crew must respond in harsh weather conditions. In addition, vessels anchored outside monitored zones may experience delays in emergency response, which worsens the threat to human life. So that's all from my part. I'll pass the mic to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Phoebe. Leo has already mentioned the risks involved in illegal anchoring. Therefore, I will now continue with the actions taken to manage or mitigate these risks. Let me begin with the environmental protection during anchoring. First, vessels should only anchor in approved zone. Before arrival, The crew must check the nautical charts, local notice, and consult local authorities to identify permitted anchorage areas. This is to prevent anchoring in sensitive area where it can damage marine habitats and fishing ground. Next, we must minimize the seabed impact. Seabed soaring is often caused by dragging of anchor, which can harm the marine life. Thus, the use of high holding power anchors can be helpful as they can set quickly and require less dragging. Besides, conducting bottom surveys can help to avoid anchoring near coral reefs or seagrass beds. Also, vessels must avoid discharging pollutants. One of the methods includes compliance with MAPO to use holding tanks and proper treatment system. By adhering to this compliance, we can reduce the contamination and protect marine ecosystem. Now, let's move on to the human safety, which is another major concern at anchor. One of the most important measures is to ensure proper anchor watch and bridge monitoring. The bridge team must continuously monitor the vessel position, headings, and weather condition. In addition, the use of radar and AIS could help track nearby vessel traffic and maintain a safe distance from other ships. In high-risk areas with strong winds or currents, the vessel should consider using two anchors in a V configuration. This increases holding powers and reduces the swinging radius and minimizes the risk of dragging anchors or collision with nearby vessel or structure. Before anchoring, it is also crucial to assess the holding grounds by using electronic charts and local pilot advice in identifying suitable areas for anchor. For example, mud and sand provide good holding ground, while rocky or coral seabed offers poor holding condition. Moving on to the action that prevents financial risk. First, the crew must understand and comply with local anchoring regulations, such as Malaysian law that requires permits for anchoring outside designated zone. Secondly, the vessel should obtain the necessary permits in advance, preferably at least 24 hours before anchoring. Coordination with local agents is essential to ensure a smooth procedure and avoid detention by marine authorities. Thirdly, vessels must maintain proper records to prove compliance. This includes copies of anchoring permits and voyage plans. Keeping such documentation on board protects the vessel and its crews during inspection or the event of dispute. Now, let's move on to the future recommendation. We suggest incorporating designated anchorage zones into the electronic navigation charts under SOLAS Chapter 5. These zones should be color-coded and visible on ECDIS to make it easier for bridge crews to identify and comply with anchoring restrictions. Our second recommendation is to update MAPO Annex 5 and Annex 4. This includes specific provision for pollution control during anchoring. These updates could address emission controls measures for stationary vessels and establish environmental anchoring guidelines to protect marine habitats. Lastly, we recommend the inclusion of mandatory training on local anchorage compliance under the STCW Convention. For example, a dedicated training model should be added to educate bridge officials on how to identify legal anchorage areas, how to obtain permits, and how to plan anchoring operation in a high risk or congested zone. So, that's all from our group. This is the reference list, and thank you and have a nice day.